After hammering high-flying Harrogate on Tuesday night, attention turned back to Rodney Parade. Think you know what happened yesterday? Think again. This is the true story of when Mansfield came to play. Welcome to an all-new Look Back and Am, the official Newport City Radio podcast from us, Newport County fans. From exclusive interviews to interest and inside insights. Since 2010, we've been the best place to be for all things audio, and we're giving you even more in 24. Coming up in the next 45 minutes or so, I'm Luke, and I'll be a post-match press conference with manager Graham Coughlin, and I'd like to ask if our defenders have returned at a key time.
I'm Keiron, and I'd like to ask about our worsening injury crisis.
Never miss out by following us wherever you find this podcast. Listen live at 2 p.m. on a Sunday and at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday after all League 2 home matches.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Newport City Radio.
Hello?
Hello, how are we?
All good now. If you're a regular listener to this to the podcast, you know already that we're missing two voices today. Stephen and Lamsey aren't here for different reasons. Stephen is recovering after a nasty cold, so get well soon to you, Stephen. Hopefully see you back up and running soon. And Lamsey is at a family engagement. Definitely not enjoying himself last night of the opening of our brand new home, the Corn Exchange. The Bug Club played here to a sold out 500 people yesterday, and it was a phenomenal evening all around. So yeah, but we do have someone who can just about fill those boots. We've got Keiron with us again. How are we doing?
Yeah, mate, not bad at all on this Sunday afternoon. It is not morning.
Yes. We're recording this live on Sunday afternoon on Newport City Radio. Should we find out what happened when Mansfield came? It began yesterday at 2 p.m. in the comp. It would help if I read the script, didn't it?
It would.
It began yesterday at 2 p.m. in the compede with Chris and me on DJ duties in the Bisley. Should we find out Mansfield's recent form?
Indeed we should.
Mansfield came into the game yesterday, top of the league after a comprehensive 5-1 victory over Salford last weekend. They had lost once in the month of February, and that defeat came against Infor Walsall, who we would talk about off air. Have they gone unbeaten since we beat them 3-0?
I think they're 5 wins in a row now or something along those lines. It's unreal.
They're up to 6th.
Yeah. This league is just weird, isn't it?
It is. It is. They had scored 20 goals and conceded 5 in the month of February, with the 9-2 victory over Harrogate being the standout win. Now, remember that game, because it was the same day we lost to Notts County, and the stat was the two most informed teams in League 2, because in the different form guides at that time, County were 1 and Harrogate were 2, or it was the other way around. They lost 12-3 on that night. Combined score 12-3.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting, wasn't it? I remember being at that Notts County game, and we were all just kind of watching that result, because, you know, you'd never really see a game that's 9-2, and they had 20 minutes to score like a 10th and become a record goal-scoring game for Mansfield, and they didn't do it. So
every time I check my laptop or my phone, you just see the goals go up and up and up. I just felt so sorry for Harrogate. I felt like it could have been one of those on Tuesday night when, as I said earlier, we beat high-flying Harrogate.
I mean, it could have been more than 4, couldn't it?
It could have been.
But at the end of the day, here we are. I mean, you're going to take a 4-1 win, let's be fair.
Oh, yeah, of course you are. Should we find out how Newport County lined up yesterday?
Of course.
We had Nick Townsend in goal, a back three of James Clark, Carl Jameson and Matty Baker, Lewis Payne and Adam Lewis as the wing-backs, Aaron Wildig, Scott Bennett, Bruce Morris in midfield, with Will Evans and Seb Palmer holding up top. Should we hear what actually happened yesterday from our lone survivor, Chris Chappell?
Of course we should.
Hello there. Mansfield Town went top of the table for the first time this season following their 5-1 thrashing of Salford last Saturday. Their previous home games saw them equal a club record when they hammered Harrogate 9-2, and the Stags have scored a staggering 19 goals in the last 4 matches. With just 4 league defeats all season, it will take something special for Newport County to emerge victorious this afternoon. But let's not forget the Exiles did beat then leaders Stockport here back in November. Chris Chappell here on commentary, flying solo in the absence of Stephen Howell. Get well soon, sir. Boateng. Threaded through. And on the turn, it's Ollie Clark, whose shot is saved by Townsend. He's on his weaker left foot. Couldn't get the required power to beat the Newport number 1. And it remains 0-0, thanks to another Townsend save. And the header from Boateng flies wide of goal. Beautiful delivery from George Williams on the right-hand side. He was unmarked, arriving late. From around 10 yards, he couldn't find the target, and the ball flashed just over the crossbar. And it remains Newport County 0, Mansfield Town 0. Bennett skips past the challenge and tries to get the ball forward to Palmer Holden. He has done. Play continues. Claims for a foul on Scott Bennett. Captain in the absence of Ryan Delaney. Now Keeler Dunn inside off the right flank. Still dribbling through. Lay off to Maris. Now Boateng asked to go a bit wider than he wanted on the left of the box. Prodded forward by Bailey Cargill, the left back. Low cross it, Maris turns it in at the near post. And Mansfield Town, top of the league, finally push home their advantage with some neat football right to left. And Maris with the decisive touch to beat Townsend for his 9th goal of the season. County have stayed in the contest, but 5 minutes into the second period, it's 1-0 to Mansfield. Ollie Clark forward, and a run from Maris. Another shot at goal, it's just cleared the bar. He's got the taste for goals now, the former Cambridge man. Yeah, Keeler Dunn arriving at the back post, wanted to go by himself, couldn't beat Townsend, and it remains 1-0. Nice layout to Morris, carries it forward through the middle, options left and right, slides it to Chelsea, hits it first time, and it's an awful effort. Scuffed, left-footed, and it didn't go anywhere, the ball. Akins links up with Barry, Keeler Dunn through the middle, great tackle from Payne, flung himself at the feet of Davis Keeler Dunn to block the shot from 10 yards out. And the Mansfield top scorer pats Payne on the back to say, well done, that was a great tackle. Cargill carries it in to the area, goes for goal himself, and a fine low save from Townsend, almost scooped the ball out with his left hand. Cargill allowed to run all the way from left back, no one got in the way, and another save to keep County just in the game. Drysdale up and under, Zanzala being climbed upon there. Evans tries to get it under control, shot blocked, and then Charsley with the touch, and it goes over the top. Well, that could have gone anywhere, but yet again Newport County failed to test goalkeeper Pin. The 5 minutes are up now. Mansfield take their time over this throw, and the referee blows for full time. Mansfield Town with another 3 points, which is now their 5th win in 6 to stay top of League 2. Newport County battled hard, but didn't have enough quality in the final third to cause any problems for Christy Pym, the Mansfield keeper. He was largely untroubled throughout the game, and it was George Maris's single goal that was enough to give the Stags victory as he turned home at the near post 5 minutes into the second half. Mansfield had just a bit too much quality today, starting with quite a possession-based game and going direct as the game went on. And Nigel Clough's team continue their fine form as league leaders, and it finishes here. Newport County 0, Mansfield Town 1.
Well, we're just saying off air, Q, and obviously at the stats I just read out Mansfield's recent form. It could have got a lot worse yesterday.
Yeah, it could have gone a lot worse. I mean, you look at the 9-2, you look at some of the
5-1 I think we said last time out against Salford as well before yesterday.
You know, like Salford are a team we struggle against, and Mansfield did really well against them. So, I mean, yeah, it was 1-0. It was frustrating. We didn't offer much up top, but yeah, it could have been worse.
You just said it was frustrating. Now, I was at this. A man who was very, very frustrated yesterday was County Manager Graham Coughlin. Should we hear his frustrations?
Yeah, of course.
I thought it was two really good teams going head to head. Both cancelled each other out. And in these big games, you're always going to get those moments. And unfortunately, like it has been all season, those moments have been... Look at the foul on Scott Bennett is a foul. They've got a 4v2 advantage to us, and the referee I just don't know how he's turned around and said it's an advantage to us. 4 blue jerseys around 2 yellow jerseys is not an advantage. So I might get me 2-year-old child to draw him a picture tonight. But look, it's been a problem or an issue for us at this football club all season. And when it comes to big games like that, you have to have people that are in charge of the game, that understand the game, know the game. And unfortunately, the game hinged on a refereeing decision. Other than that, there was pretty not a lot in between the two teams. Wasn't a lot to get excited about, really, to be honest. But it's sad, really. It's really sad when you come away from all the hard work we put in all season, and you come away from a game, and again we're talking about decision making.
Have you spoken to the referee?
What could I actually say to a referee? Jesus, you can't speak to these people. You just can't speak to them. At the end of the day, we got beat 1-0. The game hinged on a moment. Should have been a free kick, and the referee didn't give it, and he decided to give the advantage to Mansfield. Our free kick, he decided to give the advantage to Mansfield, which is really disappointing, to be honest. But hey ho, look at they won. They're top of the league for a reason. They dig deep. They grind out results. I don't think neither goalie. I think Nick pulled out one save. I don't think either goalie worked extremely hard. I think both teams showed their credentials today. We just needed that extra little bit of quality. We just needed that extra little bit of composure, and we didn't show it today. We didn't find it. But their work rate, attitude, commitment has been spot on. It has been all season. And it's just a shame. It's just a crying out shame that I'm stood here with two good teams going head to head. I'm stood here and we're talking about decisions again. And I try my best to steer clear of the referees and the controversy and all that. But it's not just this week. It's every single week, and we don't deserve it. We don't deserve the treatment that we're getting. And we ask them to look into things. We ask them to, we get apologies all the time. We constantly get apologies. But we deserve the same rights as every other football club in this division. We deserve to be treated fairly and evenly. And unfortunately, not just today, but unfortunately that's not been the case over the course of the season.
I know you hate losing, but can you take any positives from the fact that your side competed with a team at the top of the league, and in the first half certainly you wouldn't have been able to say you was top of the league? Yeah,
but we knew we could compete. I think we knew where we were. We know we're short in one or two areas, and we know that. We did compete. We gave a really good account of ourselves, but it's the disappointing thing is we're stood here, and that moment, that foul, that incident overshadows the performance. And all the hard work that has gone in at this football club, you just cannot have refereeing decisions deciding the outcomes of games, because 99% of the time they're wrong.
As always, I guess dust yourselves down, go again, because another tough one at Stockport, but take it, as you say, take encouragement certainly from aspects of today.
Well, look, everybody want maybe encouragement and positives, and we give a good account of ourselves and all. We didn't win the game. We didn't win a game of football, and that's the be all and end all. And you got to be in this game to win. You got to be in this game to be winning. You got to be in this game to be pushing on, to be progressing, and things like that. So they're the things I'll be looking at. I know people might look at it and pat people on the back and say, well done and close and all this nonsense. You got to win. Well, football is about winning, and we didn't win today, and that's probably my annoyance. But look, I can't question the work rate, the attitude, the commitment of that group of players. They go to the well, they dig deep. Yeah, at times we didn't have quality where we needed it. We didn't have composure where we needed it. But they're a terrific group. I say it to them all the time, and I'm sick saying it. And I really am hurting. Really, I am hurting that a decision and his overall performance. And that shouldn't be the case when two good teams go head to head. We should be talking about the game. We should be talking about both teams. We should be commending Mansfield for digging deep and getting a clean sheet here and going top of the league. We should be commending our lads for digging deep and a clean sheet. Two good teams. We should be talking about football and the tactics of the first half where both teams ruled each other and spoiled each other's games, and our tactics today was spot on, and we're really, really good against a top team, and that's what we should be talking about. We shouldn't be coming away from football matches talking about the same old nonsense.
We should be talking about the game, says Graham Coughlin. So let's do that, Keiron. Let's talk about the game now. He was, as I said it just then, frustrated, and you can hear that in in the way he answered things. I don't think it was frustration in terms of what he's seen on the pitch from his team. I think he was more than pleased with the performance yesterday. It goes back to that same issue that we've had. It's not just this season. We've seen it pretty much since we've been in the EFL, since ever, and that's. I don't know if poor officiating is the right term to use. What do you make of it all? You probably had the best view of anyone yesterday being on the stands.
Oh, well, like Graham Coughlin has said, you want to be able to talk about the football and not the officiating, and it was a really entertaining game if you look at it from a tactical aspect. But yeah, I think it's always been a problem. It's not just us, it is every team in the EFL does suffer it, but we seem to get a lot of it a lot of the time, and we always get apologies and all this kind of stuff after the fact. The refs are just inconsistent. They're consistently inconsistent, I should put it that way.
The only thing they're consistent of being, isn't it? Is inconsistent.
Yeah, it's so bizarre to me because, there's a set rule of how you should officiate a game, and, there's a set rule of how to be a referee, but, different people, different refs tend to officiate games differently. You'll have, a challenge that one ref will give us a foul, one won't, one will give a booking, one won't. It's bizarre to me, and there's no kind of middle ground for where everyone stands, and it's incredibly frustrating because there were so many things that went against both teams, yes, albeit, but especially against us. There were, from what I recall, I'll need to kind of watch the game back and watch these specific moments, but there were 3 instances where we were all screaming for a penalty, especially in the 92nd, 93rd minute after the corner. Everyone was screaming for a penalty because Mansfield's player, I can't remember who it was for the life of me, but he was literally holding on to Zanzala when he was through on goal, and it's incredibly frustrating because you feel, especially in the nature of that game, if it was the other way around, it would be given as a penalty to Mansfield.
Probably would have been.
It was just incredibly frustrating. It wasn't to mention some of the kind of just little things that won't get brought up on, whether it be players who have throw-ins, they walk higher up the line, or whether it be the balls went out and it's not given us out. There's no set rule, and it's frustrating.
I think the one thing that was most frustrating for me yesterday, and obviously referees, they can't really get out of the way of the ball as quick as others. Judging by your reaction, you know where I'm going. I'm sure it was Lewis Payne on the right-hand side, had the ball. He won the ball back off a Mansfield attack and tried to pass it to Wildig. I can't remember who it was, but if we got that pass on, we'd have been at a really, really good counter-attacking opportunity.
It was a 3v2, and then it hit the ref. And
it hit the ref. He got right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of it.
How did he restart it? I don't remember. Did he give it as a throw-in for
He gave it as a drop ball.
Was it a drop ball? I understand that, those things happen, and I understand that you can't exactly say, look, go back to everyone stay where you were, everyone stand still and kind of play the attack from there. But at the end of the day, a drop ball, it doesn't really benefit us at all.
No, because Mansfield then have the time to get back, regroup and regather themselves, which they did.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying, get everyone, stop, stand still, everyone, kind of play from there, but at least make your decision of what you want to give quicker, because it took him a good while before he went, oh, look, that's a drop ball, and by then, Mansfield had already regrouped themselves, and I believe it would have been a 3v2 in terms of a counter-attack, and who knows, we could have scored that, but given the fact we had no shots on target for 95 minutes, who knows?
That was going to be my next line of questioning. Maybe we would have had a shot on target from that. As we've said, Mansfield are a very, very good team. They tend to score a lot and don't concede many, which in League 2, if you can do that, you've got half a chance. Now, you've got Aidan. We've spoken off air about Aidan Flint, and he was... You could tell he could probably still play in the Championship if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He's that good. I felt so sorry for Seb Palmer Holden yesterday, because he seemed to be the one going up against Aidan Flint, and I don't know why, but we kept trying to play direct and play quite long into him.
Yeah.
Which, when you do, you've got a 6'7" ex-Championship defender behind you. You're not going to do that, are you?
I mean, it was one thing that I heard a few people talk about in the terrace and, kind of express their, I don't think frustration would be the right word, but kind of, questioning what was going on, because we'd evidently played better when the ball was on the ground, and we do that for the most part this season. And when you're hitting an over-the-top through ball, so to speak, when you're, trying to play it high and long, don't aim it towards the 6'7" centre-back who isn't going to lose an aerial duel. I don't think he did.
He won 5 out of his 7 aerial duels, so...
Yeah.
75%-ish.
Yeah, I mean, that level of consistency, and the fact that I think the reason you got to put Aidan Flint as being a League 2 defender, and the reason he isn't in the Championship, is because he doesn't have the legs he used to, he's not as quick. So, to me, I did question why we weren't, utilising potentially his lack of pace and, breaking it down the wings. But at the end of the day, I'm not a football manager, so despite my incredible run on Football Manager, I'm not a real-life coach. So I'm sure there were the reasons, maybe, typical League 2 fashion, you get a lucky bounce, or you get something that goes your way to where you can make a really quick, efficient break, and you break the really efficient and really well-gelled Mansfield defence in that really quick fashion. But at the same time, I mean, Aidan Flint felt like he was there and everywhere to kind of stop those situations. There were definite disagreements with that form of play.
Yeah, we were listening to the Mansfield manager's post-match interview just then off air, and the vibes I kind of got off that was they should have won, or he felt that they should have won by more. Do you agree with him?
I mean,
if you take your Newport County hat off, obviously.
I'll take my Newport County hat off. They made more chances than us. We were talking about the fact that Davis Keeler really could have got a penalty. Was it just before they had got the first?
Something like that.
Yeah, just before, he could have went down because he was fouled in the box, and there would have been a penalty. So, taking off my Newport County hat and stripping the pride off my chest in that regard, they definitely could have. But at the end of the day, the scoreline reads for itself, 1-0. You can make as many chances as you want and not put it in the net. But it was 1-0, and yeah, maybe the chances they made and situations probably merited a higher scoreline, but it was a very cagey affair for the most part. I think we just kind of, I wouldn't quite say lost our heads after going 1-0 down, but there was a definite, switch in momentum and kind of a feel around the ground as well, because we never really thought, especially when we had played 50 minutes and not got a shot on target, we never really thought we'd get back into it. Yeah, to be fair, we did really well, but yeah, to me, I don't like those comments being made. I don't like managers saying we should have, we could have, like, you won, you got your scoreline that you wanted, kind of say you did well, made chances, but also kind of say you need to be more clinical in situations rather than immediately going, we should have won by more. You
alluded to the tactical battle. Now, stat for you, first half, it was 46% possession to us, 54% to Mansfield. We had 3 shots, none on target. Mansfield had 4 shots, 2 on target. First half, not a dull game, because obviously from Graham's point of view and from the Mansfield point of view, it was probably more of a system for system, kind of cancelled each other out. Then if we move into the second half, Mansfield, 12 shots, 4 on target. Newport County, 3 shots, 0 on target.
They got out of first gear. Let's be fair. They found a new gear in that second half, and it was something that Nigel Clough was saying in his post-match press conference that they found a new gear, they found a way to, maybe they found a weakness in our defence that they could exploit, and we saw from the most part it was hold the ball and then break with pace. That's the thing we've struggled with a lot this season, and yeah, that first half was, if you're watching it for a sheer football, you want to see goals thing, terrible half of football, but if you're watching it from you want to see how two systems pair out against each other, it was cancelling each other out for the most part. We've seen that a lot this season. MK Dons at home, Swindon at home, just for a couple of examples, even Gillingham at home. It was it almost felt very identical to that kind of one moment made the game. But yeah, it was a very fascinating game to watch, but they evidently found something that they could unlock in that second half, and fair play to them, they did really well with it.
In that second half, they brought on one Aaron Lewis. What was the reaction like for him? Because I've seen people saying different things. Some said that there was some support for him, and then you're always going to get one or two people. Well, what was the reaction like for the return of Aaron Lewis?
I mean, for the most part, I heard an absolutely overwhelming noise of boos and kind of just whistles towards him, and it wasn't a nice environment for him to play in, I'd imagine. But I personally think, at the end of the day, being a footballer and playing football, that's his job. And let's be fair, he was offered a Mansfield job, he was offered to play there, and they're evidently, by table position, they've got, more immediate ambition. He was probably offered a lot more money, and you've got to think kind of to yourself as as someone who may be working, a different job to being a footballer, because, it's an absolute luxury too. If you were offered to switch companies for more money and more exciting opportunities, let's be fair, you'd take it in a heartbeat, wouldn't you? So I personally think, he did really well for us while he was here, but he's a Mansfield Town player now, and I understand to a degree, trying to get into his head and all this stuff, because we know what he can do after the time he was playing with us. But at the same time, I don't think you should hold a grudge against him for the fact that he moved clubs.
What do you think the performance was missing yesterday? Because obviously, as we've spoken about, it was, don't want to use the word dull, but at times it wasn't the most eye-pleasing to watch. What do you think that we were missing yesterday, if anything?
In the shortest way of putting it, kind of shooting boots, kind of missing the clinical edge is the nicer way to put it, I think. We'd got the ball into very, very, very nice positions, especially towards the final, 10-15 minutes where you notice Mansfield were kind of just having players back and, trying to hold on to this lead. And we'd got the ball into some brilliant opportunities to even just have a go at goal, shoot from a very ambitious, maybe attempt. But at the end of the day, we had tested them for 75 minutes. We weren't breaking through them by passing, so we thought, why not, kind of suggest taking shots on from distances where you wouldn't usually expect to beat the keeper, but how football works, how League 2 works. Every now and again you get a lucky bounce, a rebound, and you score from it. So I think the clinical decision-making we were lacking, there was one too many passes in moves that we had tried to make, and when you're doing it against a defence like Mansfield's, which is, we can credit that all day, it's remarkable to watch from a League 2 standpoint. You kind of need to just have an effort, take a chance, see how it goes, and I don't think we really did that, which is fine, because we did really well at the back, but we didn't exactly, show the qualities that we've had up front in recent games, particularly, Harrogate, where we did quite the opposite. We just took chances and did it really well, and yeah, I wouldn't say frustrating, but unfortunate in the way that panned out.
I believe Mansfield are one of two teams to get a clean sheet at Rodney Parade this season, the other team being MK Dons, in which we drew 0-0. Just goes to show that we've spoken about it on this podcast before, and I know Graham's alluded to it as well, Rodney Parade becoming that fortress again. It really does feel like that.
Oh, it does feel like it, and I think it was something we were missing last season, let's be fair. There wasn't I wouldn't say maybe the atmosphere wasn't there, but the confidence and the know-how that Rodney Parade is, the home of Newport, and, it's a tough place to come. I don't think that that mindset was quite there, given circumstances, for things out of anyone's control for the most part, whether it be alluded financial stuff or whatever. But this season, we immediately got the news that we'd been in trouble, or not in trouble, I don't think that's the correct way, but we'd got the news of the net losses. We got the news of the players leaving, the players joining, and it almost feels from the first home game we had, it has been a place where we know we can get behind the players and really become that 12th man.
Now, before we move on to the absolute county man of the match, are you ready for playoff watch?
Playoff watch, oh, what fun, good fun.
Now, if we had won yesterday and results went our way, we'd have ended up yesterday in the playoffs. We'd have stuck into 7th, but it wasn't meant. We are in 12th though, which we're above Notts County now. We spoke about Notts County when they came to town the other week, and they blew us apart. They probably the best team I've seen at Rodney Parade all season.
They're the best team I've seen twice. So to see that we're above them is...
We're above them.
It's unreal. And, Walsall, who we picked apart at their place, they're in... What are they? Are they 6th now?
They're 6th, yes.
It's so weird, and the fact we're even able to talk about playoffs and then put our names in it, what are we, we're 5 points off. And, yeah, there's some teams that have maybe games over us, but we have put ourselves in a very decent position given the fixtures we've got coming up, of course, after next week's trip to Stockport. We put ourselves in a position where I reckon we could definitely, keep in the run-in for a good while. But at the end of the day, you look at the start of the season, you look at circumstances, scenarios, and all this stuff, and I think most of us would have been content with 22nd on goal difference. So the fact that we're even in discussion of playoffs and it's March, it's credit to what Graham Coughlin, Joe Dunn, all the players, staff, whether that be, physios, media, or everyone, done incredibly in making this club not only do really well on the pitch, but off the pitch, media-wise. You talk the United game, it's been phenomenal, and the fact we're even in the discussion and we're still able to mention it's phenomenal.
It is 5 points though, and it is Stockport up next. It doesn't get any easier for Newport County.
No, I mean, I think it's something we talked about the last time I was on here. That was just after we had played Walsall, and we had Notts County, Gillingham, MK Dons, Mansfield, Stockport. It's stupidly difficult games, but let's be fair, we've come out of it at the end of it looking, like I said, still in the contention.
Heed is, I think, the to use a great Welsh phrase, couple of days removed from St David's Day.
Exactly.
Heed, we're still here.
We're still here, we're still in the race. If any team is to go against all adversary, go against everything, and sneak into the playoffs on the final day against Bradford, it's us.
We've done it before.
Exactly.
We've done it before. We can do it again.
We'll do it again.
Anyway, the absolute county man of the match. Now, it was difficult to pick 3 names yesterday. Pick 2 names, I'll say, because the one which I'm sure people agree with me, and they was probably the standout man of the match for me yesterday. But it was, the performance didn't help. It was quite difficult to pick out 2 or 3 individuals who impressed.
Yeah, I mean, there's one which, obviously won the man of the match on the Absolute County Twitter account, and that is one name that you can put. Yeah. But to put 2 names out there, otherwise, I suppose you can realistically only look at the back line, can't you? Whether that be Matt Baker, I thought he was pretty solid, and the traversing of the way he was able to play the ball out from the back, and albeit we didn't create too much from it, I think he was quite decent there. I think Adam Lewis showed a few glimpses, particularly in the first half, of why he's rated so highly by us. And Kyle Jameson, despite his not quite as incredible performance when we played Harrogate, I thought he was still really, really good, and especially when this is his second start since coming back from injury. I thought he was more than fitting of starting and being in that contention. Yeah,
we'll talk about Kyle Jameson in a couple of seconds' time. The standout man we are talking about is obviously keeper Nick Townsend, who made a few impressive saves yesterday to keep the game at 1-0 and keep the game at 0-0 before Mansfield scored. Could you have done a little bit better with the Mansfield goal potentially?
No, I think it was that exact passing of play was it was too quick to me, and there were too many players in the box to where, I don't even think he would have seen it until, it was near enough already past him, because I believe there was, and again, I'd have to look at the highlights and look at this goal again, but I'd like to say there was, whether it be a Mansfield or Newport player, near enough to stood in front of him, so I don't think he would have seen it until, it was right next to him, and by then, of course, just with the pace on that strike alone, it would have already went past him, so I don't think he could have done much better, and yeah, it's one of those things, and he saved us many a times this season when it comes to getting results, and while this one wasn't to get us a result, it was definitely to keep the goal difference a lot better than other teams who have played Mansfield.
63% of people agreed with us. Nick Townsend was the official absolutely county man of the match, and coming up next I would like to talk about if our defenders are returned at a key time. If you're employed by Newport City Homes, you have access to financial services which can help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search Newport Credit Union.
Right here, right now.
Newport City Radio.
So I've just alluded to it there, and this kind of goes into what you, Keiron, want to talk about as well. But obviously, Carl Jameson, we've just spoken about, is back. Declan Drysdale came onto the pitch yesterday. I believe he was named on the bench against Harrogate as well. He didn't come onto the pitch against Harrogate, but he was definitely named on the bench. Have they returned at a key time?
I mean, you look at the positions that we've had injuries in, particularly towards the end of the February, even the beginning of February, whether it be that Ryan Delaney, of course, is out for the rest of the season after being, an absolute rock of the back for, the entire season, and really kind of showed why he was given the captain's armband near enough the second he walked through the door. And you then talk, Kyle Jameson has come in and almost, I wouldn't quite say slid into the role that that Delaney had played, because I think they are pretty different in terms of the way they defend, but you talk number-wise, it is something you can't complain about. Drysdale, very similar. And then you talk, do we know much about, of course, James Clark, who had come off?
We don't. It's one of those, and Graham alluded to it in his press conference. He said that it's one you're going to have to put, like other injuries we've seen this season, just have to wait and see kind of thing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? You never want to have this situation where you're talking about, players who have come back with injuries to replace players who have gone out with injuries. You'd like to have the selection headed. Like, we've got that luxury up front now, and we've not quite got the luxury at the back. So, yeah, they've come at a key time to where we can still play this 3 or 5 back system, and we can still kind of fit the numbers in, but you don't really want to be able to say that they've come in almost as replacements, and you almost worry that with Delaney and Clark now maybe being out as well, are they going to get rushed back in because there's not many other options? It's going to be an interesting one to see how it develops over the next few games.
Well, yeah, I've said all season I felt that we've been, even before injuries, I felt that we've been a little bit light at the back. To play a back 3 when you've got 4 or 5 centre halves. I know Shane McLaughlin's filled in at centre back. I know Harrison Bright can play there. Scott Bennett's played there, and he's played phenomenally at the back this season. But just to have maybe one more centre back, I'd like to see us sign another centre back in January. Obviously, we only signed the one player in January, and that being Luke Jeffcott. But I would have liked to see at least one more player signed on loan as a centre back.
If you're going to commit to the 3 back and you've got 5 centre backs who are very much accustomed to playing centre back in terms of an EFL role, 5 fit ones, and then you talk maybe 1 or 2 players who can play it as almost a secondary position. It doesn't look great, because the second 1 or 2 players go out, then you're saying, hold on, do we have to switch now to a 4 back, 2 centre backs, and then all of a sudden you then add pressure onto the midfield or onto the what I think is a very even and balanced attack. I think you could probably fit 3 of them in three of those strikers in as opposed to the two that we have been fitting in, but at the same time we've seen that the three back has worked, and it's been the thing that we've pushed back on and relied on and had success with. But yeah, I agree with you. I would have liked to seen an extra centre-back join just out of the security of knowing that, one or two injuries in that back line can kind of cause a domino effect to how the entire team performs.
And with the run-in coming up now, we need every single player back that we can, and to have two quality players like this come back at this time, just before we'll come on to the fixtures at the end of the podcast, as we normally do, to get Keiron and myself's predictions. But we've got some ease. Obviously, there's no easy game in League 2, but compared to the run that we've just had, we've got some more welcoming fixtures.
I mean, yeah, like you said, there's no easy fixture in League 2, but we've alluded to the fact that we can compete with every team, and we've shown it this season that we can compete with every team, and we always tend to do well against those teams that are kind of around us, and it's why we've, at least as of present with table positions, we've definitely landed and struck onto a mid-table position, and the teams we have coming up, of course, after Stockport, are ones that are around us and below us. So you look at them statistically and you look at them in terms of the table and you go, yeah, that merits a better performance, but you do question, and I haven't done too much research on our opposition in terms of how they play, but I don't think we necessarily fall flat or fall short out of individuals and individual qualities, but rather systems. And, I was talking about earlier when we talked about Mansfield, they've got a lot of pace, and we tend to struggle against teams that have pace in abundance. And if one of these, you want to talk maybe 6 teams, have that kind of pace in abundance, you question, would we struggle and would we maybe fall short?
Yeah, thank you, Keiron. What's coming up next?
Wow, what's coming up next? The worsening injury crisis.
The ever-worsening injury crisis. If you're employed by an Iron Bevan University Health Board, you have access to financial services which can help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search Newport Credit Union.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Newport City Radio.
Well, we were talking and alluded back to it last time, the worsening injury crisis. Of course, you've got the back line that we've already talked about in brief, whether you talk Delaney out, Seabury out, following how good he was. You talk Shane McLaughlin now out. It sounds like it could potentially be the rest of the season, which is never too welcoming. I mean, the injuries have come very, very quickly, and despite the fact we've had these replacements, and I hate using that word because I think every single player has the qualities to merit starting without the factor of injuries. But in the retrospect, that we've lost so many players that have been key to how we've played this season, it doesn't look too great, does it, in terms of the availability? And we're already talking about the fact that even with everyone fit, we may be missing a player or so.
Seems like every single player has got an injury at some point this season.
Yeah.
Apart from Will Evans, because he seems to play every single week.
Every single week with the same qualities, isn't it? And it's very welcoming that we've got that refreshment of the player that doesn't get injured, and you can maybe even fit Bryn Morris, Scott Bennett into that bracket as well. But it almost feels like everyone, like you said, have picked up some form of injury for an amount of time, and I didn't even cover the fact that, of course, we've got Omar Bogle out as well, and
he's still out. But as we've said it, he's probably not too much longer.
I wouldn't imagine so. I mean, was it maybe 3 weeks ago or so, 3-4 weeks ago, where
around the time we played United, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mentioning that he was back in training on his own, so I wouldn't imagine he's too far off. But at the same time, we have the luxury where we've got a lot of attackers and we've got a lot of options, so thankfully we don't have to rush him back and risk him getting injured again. So it's nice in a way, but at the same time we know how much he provides, and we've covered it many a times in how much he does offer in terms of not even just scoring necessarily, but just creativity and kind of qualities that I don't really think any other player in the squad has. It'd be a very welcoming, obviously, addition back into the team. He's obviously a good character to have as well. So, yeah, it'll be nice to see him back, but it's never been a situation where we have everyone back and we have this selection headache all over the field.
Because, who we've got at the moment, to run me through it, we've got James Clark, who we don't know, we've got Ryan Delaney, got Josh Seabury, who feels like we haven't seen him for a year. It'll be that by the time he...
Yeah, by the time he comes back, it'll be close
injury?
Was
it a broken foot or something like that?
It was something like... I think it might have been, yeah.
Bogle, as we've said, is out. Harry Charles, he's just come back from a knock. Quiltig is not long come back from a knock.
Zanzala's not only just come back from a knock.
Declan Drysdale, Carl Jameson's been out for the better part of half a year.
It's been an absolute nightmare, isn't it? And you always look at things in hindsight. If we hadn't been through these injuries and we hadn't have, had to rush players back, so to speak, because of lack of availability, where could we be in the table? It's always a nice thing to kind of, I suppose not nice, because you have to think about it in hindsight and you think, could it be better? But given the problems and given the worries, we've done exceptionally well. But that does not mean that we want to see more injuries. No. Far from it. I mean, just off of my head, if you talk players that have come back recently or players that are currently out, 9 is kind of the number I'm about, which is near of double figures. And when you talk, I think, senior squad-wise, you've probably got 23, 24 players you talk in terms of first-team starters. That's near enough half the entire squad, which is... it's not nice, is it? It really has been a tough thing, and don't get me wrong, many teams in League 2 or the EFL have suffered injury crises of varying impacts, but at the same time, what we've been through with the squad we've got and the small squad we've got, the fact we are where we are, it's even more remarkable because, I mean, you look at it from an outsider potentially and you go, but how are they there? When you look at the highlights of it, you talk maybe highlights of it in November, what was there, like 2 senior players on the bench, and then the rest of it was youth academy players. To me, that's absolutely unreal, and maybe it's the reason we recalled, for example, Harrison Bright from his loan, because of course he plays that centre-back role.
And you look
at
you look at the bench yesterday, Matty Bondswell can make the bench.
I mean, I don't overly think that's an injury thing, because if I'm not mistaken, I had seen him in the background of the Mansfield manager's press conference. Either that or I'm just incredibly blind and naive, but either way, I don't think he's overly injured. I'd hope not anyway, because we know the qualities he's brought and the cover he brings to, even you talk to recently come back from injury, Adam Lewis. He's been quality, but I suppose in recent weeks he hasn't really been coming onto the bench, and I suppose that is credit to our really good kind of depth in that field of the pitch. But yeah, it's always something that we can mention. Why isn't he on the bench? Because we've seen how influential he can be when he does get minutes.
Thanks, Keiron. Hopefully it doesn't get as bad as it did in October, November time.
Hopefully. Not.
Anyway, coming up next, we'll be talking about the upcoming fixtures. If you're employed by Newport City Council, you have access to financial services which can help manage money and expenses for the coming year. Newport Credit Union can offer savings and loans paid directly from your salary. For more information, search Newport Credit Union.
Right here, right now. This is Newport City Radio.
We're nearly done for another edition of Look Back in Amber, but as we just alluded to, we've got some games coming up on the road. Lots of travelling.
I mean, I love an away trip as much as the next person, I'd imagine, but God, the next, what is it? Is that 6 games? 4 of them away.
4 out of the next 5 are away. Starting off with a game in 6 days' time away at second place Stockport. So what's the score going to be there, Keiron?
You know what? We beat them earlier on in the season. We're of course going to beat them again. We'll go 2-1.
2-1. I'm going to say 2-0 on that one. Then we're home. I remember we played Morecambe away on a Tuesday night early on in the season. We were taking the favour and they come to us on the Tuesday night. What's the score going to be when Morecambe come to play at Rodney Parade?
Well, just out of history and spite of a certain playoff final we will mention.
First time they beat Rodney Parade since that playoff final, they will be.
We'll go 4-0.
Okay, I don't think it'll be as emphatic as that. There'll still be another Newport County win. I'm going to say 3-2. It'll be quite entertaining. Then we are away to Wimbledon, who got a famous win over local rivals MK Dons yesterday in the dying embers of that game. What's the score going to be when we go to Plough Lane?
Oh, they're very much a banana skin team. We'll go with draw on this one, because I will not say we win every game. We'll say 2-2.
2. Okay, I do predict us to win more than we do lose, or even draw. So I'm going to say, I think we'll sneak it 2-1. Then we're away again to Barrow, who are currently 8th in the table. What's the score going to be there, Keiron?
Barrow, what a fun day. 2-0 County, why not?
2-0. I'm going to agree with you there. 2-0 again. Then we're all again away to Colchester on the 29th of March. What's the score going to be there, Keiron?
Based off table positions, 3-1 County.
3-1. Danny Cowley is in charge there. Obviously, former Huddersfield manager, former Lincoln manager, who got a good manager, but whether they got the players on the pitch to do it at the moment, I don't know. I'm going to say that would be a 1-0 win. We're going to sneak it. Finally, we're back home. Newport County come back to Rodney Parade. We played one game in the month of March at Rodney Parade, and that's the Morecambe game.
Yep.
Oh, and obviously yesterday. But Crawley do come to play on the 1st of April. What's the score going to be there, Keiron? April Fool's Day, of course.
I don't like Crawley, because I'd predicted them to finish last in the table, and look where they are. In April Fool's fashion, I can see that it is the actual date, if you put it up, is 4-1. So just out of the date alone, we'll go 4-1 Newport.
Very good. I don't think Creepy Crawley will fool us at all. I'm hoping for a nice, solid performance and a 2-1 win. Thank you very much, Keiron, for joining us today.
Of course. Absolute pleasure.
Down to the bare bones on the pitch, and probably off the pitch here in the studio, but Keiron answered the call, and it's a pleasure to have you on. As always, thank you for taking the time out to listen today. As always, we'd love to read your thoughts about our thoughts on Facebook, Twitter, X and Instagram via direct message, or also on email at contact@newportcityradio.org. We'll catch you on Sunday, the 2nd of April at 2 p.m. as we continue to look back at the 2023-24 season. More talking points, more banter, and more top-class analysis. We'll see you then.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now. Newport City Radio.